Today we're taking a deep dive into the Jontay Porter gambling investigation that's rocking the NBA. This bombshell news has everyone talking, from casual fans to seasoned analysts, and for good reason. The league dropped a lifetime ban on Jontay Porter, essentially ending his NBA career before it even began. Let's unpack this whole situation layer by layer and explore the potential consequences for both Porter and the NBA itself. The NBA wasted no time throwing down the hammer on Jontay Porter. A lifetime ban is about as harsh as it gets, essentially ending his NBA career before it even really took off. The league cited 3 violations: sharing confidential info with a gambler, reportedly worth $80,000, limiting his own playing time to benefit bets, potentially affecting thousands of dollars in wagers, and actually placing bets on NBA games himself, likely small amounts compared to the other 2. Yikes! This isn't just a slap on the wrist, folks. This is a full-on ejection from the league situation. Now, the interesting part is what exactly Porter allegedly did. Sharing confidential information? That could be anything from his health status, which he did, claiming illness before exiting a game, to upcoming team strategies. Limiting his playing time? We're talking about a young player trying to prove himself, and suddenly he's barely scraping the court in key games, playing only 4 minutes and 2 minutes in 2 specific games. As for betting on NBA games, well, that's a clear violation of the league's anti-gambling policy. The NBA is focusing on 2 specific games from Jontay Porter's short stint with the Toronto Raptors. The first game was on January 26, 2024 against the Los Angeles Clippers. In that game, Porter only saw 4 minutes and 24 seconds of court time. He finished with 0 points, 0 3-pointers, 1 assist and 3 rebounds. What's even more interesting is that he left the game early, citing a re-aggravated eye injury, according to the Raptors at the time. The second game under investigation happened on March 20th, 2024, against the Sacramento Kings. This time, Porter's playing time was even shorter, clocking in at just 2 minutes and 43 seconds. Again, he exited the game early, this time claiming illness. His stat line for this game: 0 points, 0 assists, and only 2 rebounds. In the January 26th game against the Clippers, there were prop lines available for just about everything Porter could do statistically. Points: over or under 5.5, rebounds over or under 4.5, assists over or under 1.5, and even made 3-pointers over or under 0.5. Interestingly, after the game, DraftKings, a major sports betting platform, reported that the under on Porter's 3-pointers was their biggest money winner for all NBA props that night. That means a significant number of people bet on Porter making very few threes, less than half of one, and they won big. This pattern continued a couple of months later on March 20th. Porter played a mere 2 minutes and 43 seconds, and prop bets on his performance were once again the biggest winners for that night's game. Here's the key takeaway. If a player knows they're not going to play much, they can essentially guarantee they won't hit their prop bets. All they have to do is avoid shooting threes if the bet is on how many they'll make. Or they could even request to be subbed out early if they're getting close to a certain stat. Now, it's important to note that the NBA investigation is still ongoing, and there haven't been any official accusations against Jontay Porter. But the limited playing time combined with the unusual betting activity on his props is definitely cause for concern. The NBA will be looking to determine if there was any foul play involved and the extent of Porter's involvement, if any. Here's where things get fishy. While Porter's limited playing time might not raise eyebrows on its own, the NBA is investigating because of unusual betting patterns surrounding his prop bets in these games. Prop bets, for those who don't know, are wagers on individual player performance like points, rebounds, or even 3-pointers made. Before diving deeper into the investigation, let's take a look at Jontay Porter's story. Growing up in Columbia, Missouri, basketball was in his blood. Following in the footsteps of his older brother Michael Porter Jr., a rising star in the NBA, Jontay himself was a highly touted recruit coming out of high school. He possessed a well-rounded skill set, averaging a respectable 11.8 points and 7.8 rebounds in college. However, injuries began to cast a long shadow over his career. A torn ACL and MCL in his freshman year sidelined him for most of the season. He battled back, but just as he was regaining his form, another ACL tear in 2019 completely derailed his senior year. These setbacks forced him to fall out of the first round of the NBA draft. Undeterred, Jontay wasn't ready to give up on his dream. Despite the injuries, his talent was undeniable. He signed with the Memphis Grizzlies in 2019, but never saw any regular season action. The next few years were a grind, bouncing between the G League and short stints with various teams. Finally, in December 2023, the Toronto Raptors offered Jontay a two-way contract worth $415,000. This was a significant opportunity, a chance to finally prove himself on a bigger stage. He started appearing in games, averaging a modest but encouraging 13.8 minutes and 4.4 points per game. However, his NBA dream came crashing down in April 2024 with the bombshell news of the gambling investigation. The NBA has a zero-tolerance policy for gambling violations, and for good reason. Gambling can potentially compromise the integrity of the game. Imagine players throwing games or manipulating stats to benefit their bets. That would destroy fan trust and turn the NBA into a giant casino. The NBA's policy on gambling is ironclad. No one affiliated with the NBA, from players and team employees to league officials, is allowed to bet on any NBA property. This includes all NBA leagues like the WNBA, G League, and Summer League. The league takes this very seriously and educates players about these rules. It's stipulated in the collective bargaining agreement that all players must attend an anti-gambling training session each season, and failing to do so comes with a hefty $100,000 fine. Every team has a dedicated staff member monitoring for sports betting issues, and the league has its own data scientists on the lookout for suspicious activity. The consequences for breaking these anti-gambling rules are steep, serving as a deterrent for anyone considering such actions. The punishments are varied, and they start with fines. This could be a significant financial penalty, impacting a player's salary. Then suspensions. Depending on the severity of the violation, a player could be suspended for a specific number of games, even an entire season. Termination of contracts. In extreme cases, the NBA can enforce termination of a player's contract. And a lifetime ban. As we've seen with Jontay Porter, this is the harshest punishment, effectively ending a player's NBA career. Jontay Porter's case serves as a stark reminder that the NBA doesn't tolerate any gambling violations. Thankfully, this type of player gambling scandal is rare in the modern NBA. The league hasn't had to discipline a player for gambling since the 1960s. There have been referee scandals, though, with officials betting on games they themselves officiated. Talk about a conflict of interest, right? This Porter situation feels different. It's a young player potentially throwing away a promising career for a chance at some quick cash. It raises questions about the pressure on players, especially those trying to establish themselves in the league, and the potential for outside influences to manipulate the game. The investigation into Jontay Porter is still ongoing, and there are a lot of unanswered questions. Here are some lingering points. Will Porter speak out and defend himself? Will the Raptors organization make a statement? Could there be other players or teams involved in a larger gambling scheme? One thing's for sure, the NBA is taking this seriously, and they are determined to get to the bottom of it. The results of this investigation could have significant ramifications for the entire league. This situation has major implications that extend far beyond Jontay Porter's career. It raises questions about how effectively the NBA monitors gambling activity and protects players from potential manipulation. We might see changes in regulations or even stricter anti-gambling policies implemented. As for Porter, his future is uncertain. A future outside of professional basketball seems likely. There's always a chance a league overseas might take a chance on him, but the shadow of this investigation will likely follow him. The internet, of course, is buzzing with speculation. Here are some of the floating theories. Was Porter in on it? Did he actively collude with bettors to manipulate his stats and cash in? Or was he pressured by someone else involved in the gambling ring? The lone wolf theory. Maybe Porter was acting alone, trying to make some extra money on the side, a risky gamble that backfired spectacularly. The bigger picture. Could this be the tip of the iceberg? Is there a larger gambling scheme at play involving other players or teams? Right now, these are just theories. The NBA's investigation will hopefully shed light on what really happened. This situation is a stark reminder of the importance of protecting the integrity of the NBA. It's a game we love, a sport built on passion, competition, and fair play. Gambling has its place, but it can't infiltrate the heart of the game. The league, players, and fans all have a role to play. The NBA needs to be vigilant in monitoring gambling activity and potential manipulation. Players need to be aware of the rules and the consequences of breaking them. And fans, we need to be vocal about our desire for a clean game. free from outside influences. Jontay Porter's situation is a cautionary tale. Hopefully it serves as a wake-up call and a reminder that the NBA, the players, and the fans all have a responsibility to safeguard the game we love. We want to hear from you. What's your take on this situation? Do you think the NBA's punishment for Jontay Porter was justified? How can the league improve its anti-gambling measures? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and let's keep the conversation going.